It depends on the day.
Okay.
It depends on the day. I no, I'm very. I think I tend to be very optimistic about the future. Always, I have faith in people, but I think that I think that for some people, no matter some people just crave certain foods, right? And I think that where a lot of those companies that are making plant-based meat substitutes and plant-based fish substitutes, and even companies that are still maybe 3 4 years away from having a product on the shelf for consumers to purchase, companies in the cellular agriculture space, for example, they're taking cells, animal cells, and then they're actually growing meat, or skin tissue, and they're doing things like they're even able to make leather. They're able to grow leather in the lab, or they're able to make milk using the same process that happens inside of the cow effectively. But in a lab, there's some amazing companies doing these things. And in certain of the cases, um, the interesting thing is that if the quality and the ability to produce at massive scale at a lower cost, a lower overall cost, right, to the industry. When I'm talking about the industry, I'm talking about the meat industry, or fishing or dairy industry. You're going to see a switch over. The manufacturers themselves will switch over, right? If the economics are simply better, right? And then they can paint themselves as sustainable, and all of that good stuff, right? So it's a win-win for everybody. So I think that will happen, right? I think that that's definitely going to happen. I can't tell you who the winners and losers are going to be. Like everything, there's so many different factors that go into making a food production company successful, and scalable, and successful at scale. Um, but I'm really excited about the entire sort of plant-based landscape, right? And there's in every single category. If you look at meat and you look at burgers, there's 50 companies. If you look at dairy and you look at yogurt, there's 100 companies in the plant-based dairy space. If you look at fashion and you look at cruelty-free cosmetics, hundreds of companies, right? Thousands maybe. And that it's exciting to see that consumers today, I think the massive shift that is happening, about to happen, continues to happen, and will grow, is that people are sick of policymakers and presidents and governments. They're completely ineffective, right? And it's up to the consumer ultimately to change, and it's up to the consumer to improve their health. Today in America, 1/3 of disposable income in the average American household goes towards the family's health care. Americans spend $500 billion on pills every year, right? And it's not necessary. So if you can take that 1/3 and reduce it by half, just by watching what you eat, right, and putting better things inside and on your body, if you could reduce that cost by a half, that means that you can get a bigger house in a better neighborhood, so your kids can go to a better school district. That means that your kids, right, have a better future, right? It means that you can put better quality food on the table, more nourishment, better nutrition, better outcomes, right? So I think that there's just this it's a coronavirus, especially, I think, is a wake up call. And some people will just continue to kind of do what they do. You look at the president and this whole coronavirus task force, and how they've made meat production a priority when people are dying at these meat plants. It's despicable. But longer term, I think that consumers are just seeing that consumers are seeing that consumers are understanding. There's a more awareness, better understanding of what consumers need to do to actually take control of their lives and their bodies. There's amazing organizations. Last night I was on the phone with an organization that goes into classrooms across the US and Canada, into middle schools, high schools, and colleges, and they go in and they talk to the students, right, about just the impact of the choices and what's on their plate. And they talk to 20,000 kids a week. So there's organizations sprouting up that are doing this kind of work. And I think that you're starting to see it, right? Younger people are the ones that are calling the shots now when it comes to what's on the table. Parents it's not so much about, hey, just whatever, eat just whatever the parents are putting on the table. So I'm very, very optimistic. I mean, ultimately, what our belief is that the vegan movement over here, which, maybe even today still for most people feels like a fringe movement, but you've got the vegan movement and you've got sustainability and the sustainability movement. These two things will be one, right? And they'll be completely analogous to each other.